I think it's the second best room on the defense, might be a top 3 room on the whole team. And that is the safety room. I think this room is really, really experienced, and they're also talented. Let's talk about that. Obviously, Michael Taaffe coming back, Jelani McDonald. That's a guy actually that could, if they wanted to, throw him into nickel. I think he could play nickel. He's a really good football player. Derek Williams coming back off the ACL surgery. Jordan Johnson-Rubel, Zulus Hicks, and Jonah Williams. This is a super talented, experienced, and deep room with the younger guys that I just mentioned as well.
Yeah, and don't you forget my guy Xavier, right? Xavier Filson. He's a guy who I want to see. He's another just athletic freak, I think, back there. This is a room that I think Texas can get really creative with. And I think you may see, like you said, Jelani McDonald play down a little bit. You may see Jonah Williams walk down a little bit because Texas has the bodies, right? You have the advantage of having Michael Taaffe, Derek Williams back there as your probably 2 starters at safety. So there's an opportunity for Texas to really – and Pete Kwiatkowski is a guy who loves when you can just have a football player. They're not tied to a position. Right? Hey, we're going to pull a linebacker and play Jonah Williams at safety for a play, right? Or we're going to pull a linebacker, we're going to pull a corner and have Jelani McDonald walk it down a little bit. There's an opportunity to be able to do that. And so this room for Texas, I think I'm just going to say it like I wish there was a couple of more snaps in this room than there are, right? You obviously have Michael Taaffe, who's been there for forever, but Derek Williams missed time with an injury. Jelani McDonald got to play some. But I wish there were probably 15% more snaps in this room, and I'd feel better about it. But from a pure talent perspective and from a pure ability perspective, this room has probably, and I'm going to say this right, this room might have the highest ceiling of all of them just based upon the accumulation of talent in that room.
Yeah, I mean, Jonah Williams, 5-star. Zelus Hicks was a 5-star before he reclassified. He's the high 4-star now. You have Derek Williams, who I believe was either a 4 or 5-star. Jelani McDonald was a 4-star. Michael Taaffe obviously wasn't that highly rated. And then, Xavier Filson was a 5-star. So they have a lot of talent in this room. And I agree. There's a lot of versatility and positionless football that can be played with this room. I think you're going to see, honestly, Jelani McDonald at the nickelback position. I also think you're going to see him, like you said, come down a little bit. He's a very versatile player. He also can tackle very well. I'm very excited to see him play next year. I think he's going to take a really big step, and he probably, honestly, early on, it's going to be him and Taaffe, and then they're going to allow Derek Williams to slowly come back from the injury because I don't know if he's going to be 100% at the beginning of the year, the first 2 to 3 games, but we'll have to see about that. But also, Derek Williams is a freaking great football player. We definitely could have used him. Are we going to miss Andrew Makuba? Yeah, because I don't know if there's going to be a guy on this team that can roam around like that and then just find where the football is and go make plays on it, or just blow the ever-living crap out of someone when they catch the football. Yeah, I don't know if that person exists on this team, honestly, because Michael Taaffe, no offense, doesn't have the speed to do that. Maybe Jelani McDonald, maybe. I think he's going to need a little bit more thumping ability, but what do you think overall about, like, if you had to guess, do you think Zelus Hicks plays much this year, if any, or do you think he sits most of the time?
I mean, I think Texas is in a spot in the safety room where you only play him if you have to, right? And there's 2 ways you say have to, right? Because he comes in, blows the doors off, and it's absolutely better, or the wheels fall off and you have multiple injuries, right? I think I don't anticipate seeing a ton of him unless Texas has to. Now, obviously, with the redshirt rules, we probably will see some of him, quite a bit of him, I would say, maybe in some of these non-conference games or in some of these games where Texas has a decided advantage, because you can play a couple of games and still get your redshirt. So I think he's probably a prime candidate for like the 4-game redshirt situation. And I like that. Get some guys some live fire reps, but also don't burn a year of eligibility. So I feel like he's probably a prime candidate for that.
No, 100%. And Jonah Williams, do you think long-term, I know people might get angry about this, but do you think he should play baseball, football, do both, or do you think he should stick to one? Because I don't know if you can do both long-term.
I mean, Jameis Winston's a guy who played both. Kyler Murray's a guy who played both. But then you see a guy like Brendan Thompson, who's obviously not quite as talented, but he ran track instead of doing spring football, and he got passed up not once but twice at multiple schools. So I think the days of multi-sport guys are probably waning. But then there are also few guys that are as athletically gifted as Jonah is. So I don't know. This is my bias, right? I think there's probably more. I don't know. I would rather see him play football. I'm a football guy over a baseball guy at Texas. But again, I'm not mad if the baseball team is good either. I think at some point, I think he's probably going to have to choose if he wants to be excellent at one of them. Because again, not everybody can be Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson, right? So you've got to pick one if you really want to be excellent.
Yeah, I mean, if he is, then awesome. We got a hell of a football player and a hell of a baseball player. Yeah. So if he can do that, but yeah, and that's the thing too. I think he loves football more too, because there was that discussion. People thought honestly he would just skip over college football in general and he would have got drafted out of high school and left. He decided not to do that. So he's telling you
he
right
wants
off
to play.
Bat, yeah, he wants to play football. That's pretty clear to me. And that's the thing too, is from everything I've heard, I think he wants to play shortstop and pitcher. If I think you can play pitcher, because Jameis Winston did that. You can play pitcher and play football. I think that's possible because you don't have to take as much time out for baseball if you're just a pitcher. But if you want to be a position player for baseball and a position player for football, it's going to be really hard to do that long term.
Yeah, I'm a skeptic when it comes to it. I mean, granted, guys like Jamal Charles had to make a choice in college. Guys like Aaron Ross had to make a choice in college which one they wanted to do. So like there is something to be said about like if you want to live up to your potential at one of them, you probably have to choose to be specialized. Now, again, there's a longer conversation to have about like youth sports and specialization, but at the collegiate level, you've got to be a specialist. You've got to figure out which one you're going to be excellent at and choose. And again, I will be happy either way. Again, I watch more football than baseball, but I also love watching the baseball team. So if he goes that way, more power to you.
No, I'm the same way. And yeah, I think when you're younger, play as many sports as you can, because I think it helps other sports when you're playing as many sports as possible. But when you get older, you got to start trimming that fat off and decide which one you want to do. But another thing, so Texas usually plays 4 safeties. You usually get about a 4-man rotation there. You're going to have Taaffe, McDonald, and Williams. Who do you think is the one guy that rotates mostly and is the 4th safety?
I mean, I really like Filsaime. I think it's probably him. I think he's just got – I honestly was shocked we didn't see more of him this year, to be honest with you. I think it was just so much talent, right? Makuba and Taaffe, you can't take them off the field. So I would be shocked if it's not him, just because he's got such talent. He's got size. He was a really polished player coming out of high school already. And so I think his starting point was just ahead of the other guys. So I think Filsaime's probably going to be the guy. There's a reason why everybody in the country wanted him.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Yeah, I was shocked we didn't see him too. I thought that was one guy like the last 3 to 4 games of the regular season, you would have seen him play a lot more. And I think that's just because we're really deep there. Now, Derek Williams did get hurt and he still didn't really get put in. So we'll see. Maybe he just doesn't work out at Texas, but Jordan Johnson-Rubel, like if he doesn't win in spring, you may see him portal out because he's been there for a couple of years and you can't sit forever. You got to eventually play or transfer out.
And I won't blame him, right? I'm never one to blame a kid who gets passed on the depth chart and wants to go somewhere else to try again. Like, not every relationship is meant to last. It is what it is, right? And more power to him. That's why I'm always an advocate for the transfer portal. And once you hang up your cleats, you're never putting them back on. So you can play your career out how you want to.
No, 100%. Again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. This has been the 39th edition of Texas Longhorns Live. Again, check out the Ohio State and Michigan channels at the Voice of College Football. They will be having that everything show a week from today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So please check that out. Also, give us a follow on X or Twitter right there. That's my handle, Voice of College Football. And then you also see Gerald's right here, as well as his podcast. You can find that anywhere where you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, anything like that. So please check that out as well. And then, guys, check out the Amazon link in the description. Does not change the buying process or experience. We really appreciate you guys being here. We will be here next Monday, again, 8 p.m. Eastern time, breaking it down for you. If there's any breaking news, we'll chime in as well. So please, guys, hit the like button, subscribe down below. And as always, hook 'em.